All right, NBA Finals game one in the books. The Celtics take the hammer down, blow out the Mavs, go up 1-0 in the series. My biggest takeaway is this. If Kristaps Porzingis plays the rest of the series like he did in game one, forget about the series being over. This series is going to be a sweep. Dallas showed you game one. They have no answer for Kristaps and what he's able to do in terms of spreading the floor, in terms of not only offensively, but defensively as well. They have no one that can slow him down. Derek Lively is not a he's a really good defender, but not someone who could take Kristaps one-on-one. You saw him push around a little bit, also get Lively in foul trouble as well. He spreads the floor really well. You're not going to put Luke on him, too much of a size difference. There's just no one with the size, speed, athleticism, strength to slow down Kristaps Porzingis one-on-one. This Celtics team is tough enough to defend as it is. If you got to double someone now like Kristaps, that opens up more opportunities for Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Derek White. I mean, this series is over. And this is coming from someone who picked the Mavs in 6. I'm not wavering on the pick yet. No. I'm not waving the white flag and saying this series is over. But here's what I am saying. As someone who wants to see the Mavs win just because I want to be right. They are not winning this series if Kristaps plays like he did on Thursday. That is a fact. He was unstoppable, and he single-handedly put this game away in the first quarter by himself. Coming off the bench, 11 points, 3 blocks, was an absolute menace. He set the tone, and even though it got a little close in the third quarter, there was really no doubt for, we'll say, 45 of the 48 minutes who's going to win this game. Boston put him away early in large part because of the play of Kristaps Porzingis, and he is the big X factor. What I was so impressed with is not only his play, but his health. Like, I picked the Mavericks for a few reasons here. Number one was I was not sure about the effectiveness of Kristaps Porzingis. Like, we knew he was going to play, but the guy hasn't played in 38 days. How effective will he be? How much rust does he have to knock off? And how much will he be able to play? Like, calf injuries, we've seen guys play on calf injuries. It could get pretty dicey. It could go south quick. And his credit, I mean, in the 20 minutes he played, it was, I mean, you never would have known if you just dropped in to the NBA Finals and not watching any other game this season. You never would have known this guy was out since round number 1 with a calf injury. He was explosive. He was getting good lift. He was running the floor really well. I mean, he answered every injury question possible in terms of going into the game, how healthy would he be? And in the game, how effective will he be? Boy, that was a great showing from Kristaps as well. And what also was so impressive about his dominance is the fact that he hid what was another pedestrian game from Jason Tatum. Now, to defend Tatum here a tiny bit, they didn't need him. So he never, outside of that little third quarter run the Mavericks made to get within 8, and his credit, one of his threes really kind of put the re-dagger, if you will, back into the Mavs' hearts to go up by, I think at that point it was like 16 or 18 points, 80-64, I think was the score after he hit that 3. That was the only real time, easy for me to say, where the Celtics needed their star. Otherwise, they didn't need Tatum here to be a superstar in game number 1. So it's not like he had to be and failed. They just never needed him to reach that level. But it was, again, a game with 6 turnovers, another inefficient shooting night from Tatum from the field. But Porzingis' greatness, dominance, erased that right away. That is, if Dallas can't figure out that matchup, or Porzingis just doesn't slow down and just continues to go beast mode, Mavs have no chance. Now, we'll get into this in a little bit here because I'll also give you a quick game 2 preview as well towards the end of this little quick pod here we're doing. But we'll get back into more Porzingis here. Can he keep it up? We'll get to that here in just a few minutes. But the other thing is I want to give credit not only to Porzingis, who's tremendous on both ends of the floor, Jaylen Brown, man. He continues to really impress. I'll give him credit because all postseason long, he has continued to talk about how this Celtics team is different than previous Celtics teams that have fallen short of winning a title. And he kept trying to say, we're different. I've had a different mindset since last year. I've treated things different. I've approached things different. I've worked on my game. I improved. and all the words he's been saying he's backed up to this point, but especially now on the stage in game one, he was tremendous. 22 points, efficient from the field, a few big time blocks as well at the rim. He was a tremendous two-way player. I would say for my money, Kristaps was the MVP of game number one, but 1A, MVP A, we'll go with for this little mini award here, I think would be Jaylen Brown. He was a great two-way player, and the big thing for him too, the biggest stat, 2, as in 2 turnovers. All right, we know he's prone. Turnover bug can get him. His credit, he did have good ball control and not allow that to be a problem. So you look at Kristaps Porzingis, great game. One thing I do want to get on the Mavs for, again, I think the Celtics deserve credit, but they were also helped out big time because the Mavericks defense was awful in game number one. I mean, it's easy to shoot the way Boston did when you had no one defending you. Like really fast, I want to give you a quick reenactment of what every single shooter for the Celtics faced tonight. You ready? I got this little lamp here, so this will do. Again, this is every shooter on the Celtics tonight. Catch, shoot. I'm ready to shoot. I'm ready to shoot. I'm ready to shoot. Hold on. Wait. There's no one to my left coming at me. There's no one to my right coming at me. I got no defender behind me. There's no one in front of the camera. I can promise you that. It's just me, the ball, and the net. When no one is guarding you, when you have all these open looks, it's easy as hell to shoot as well as the Celtics did tonight. So I do want to get on the Mavericks defense because they were terrible. That effort they displayed was very disappointing for the best defense the last 2 months of the year, one of the best defenses in the postseason. Here's a stat from ESPN I want to use to highlight just how easy it was for the Celtics here in game number one. They tracked open threes for Thursday night. The Celtics, mind you, right? This is the team that takes the most threes, makes the most threes. They had 23, according to ESPN, open 3 looks in this game. Now they hit 8, shot 35%. You would think though, for a team this good at hitting threes, you give them that many open threes, they'll hit even more. They should have hit even more. That number should have been honestly a lot worse than it was. That's already pretty damn good at 35%. But you allow a team that is an elite 3-point shooting team to basically turn game one of the finals into pregame shoot around with how little you contested shots. I mean, it was a blowout game anyway. It should have been even worse. Should have been 10 times worse. On the flip side, not only was Boston getting it and making their open looks, I mean, the Mavericks got some as well. Like they got a good amount of open looks here, and they just didn't capitalize whatsoever. They got 14 open threes, according to ESPN in game one, hit just 4 of those shots. 4. So it was a very disappointing game from my perspective from the Mavericks as well. Defensively, just not contesting, not even and making it a challenge whatsoever for the Celtics offensively. And then the Mavericks, they had their own chances to get back in the game, hit open shots, and they missed most of them. Big disappointment here from the Mavericks in game number one. Now, like I said, took the Mavericks in 6. Not a great start, but here's why I'm not wavering. Quick little look ahead here to game number 2. A few things. Number 1, the reason why, let me just start here actually. It is a lock. It is a guarantee. Save this clip. Remember it for Sunday night. The Mavericks are winning game 2. There's no doubt in my mind. For how bad it was for them in game 1, for how good Kristaps Porzingis looked in game number 1, I got no doubt in my mind. Dallas is winning game 2. We are going back to Dallas, tied 1-1. The Celtics, up to this point, have failed to show they can bring the same intensity and focus from game 1 to game 2. Every game they have lost in this postseason, now it's 2 of them, but they've both been in game 2. In previous years, what Boston has done, win a big game, immediately the next game, give it back. Their lack of focus shows up every single series of, let's say, the last 3 postseasons. They give games away just because they're lackadaisical. They look like they don't care at times. They look like they don't want to be there at times, even though it's the postseason. So it feels like, oh, we won. We're good. Just going to pick our feet up, throw our jock straps on the court, and it'll take care of itself. We got game 2 in the bag. When the other team comes out more desperate, the Celtics rarely match that desperation, which leads to either a lot of close games against inferior teams or games that the Celtics flat out lose. And so I think Dallas is going to come out very desperate on Sunday, and I think they're going to win that game. They're going to win the game and even the series here, going back or going to game number 3. The lack of focus, the lack of intensity that Boston has failed to continuously bring from game to game is the reason why I think Dallas is going to win game number 2. That's reason number 1. The other thing is going back to Porzingis, unstoppable in game 1. I'm not sold, though, we're going to see that same Porzingis we saw on Thursday going forward. A few reasons. Number 1, in this game specifically, he had a killer first quarter. Again, 11 points, 3 blocks, coming off the bench in the first quarter. He finished, though, with 20 points. So it's not like he continued that torrid pace for the whole game and just was Superman. He did cool off. He did peter off the last 3 quarters of the game. Can he play a full 48-minute game at a very high level with this calf injury? So far, the answer would be no. And speaking of which, how is that calf going to respond? Going to game 2, this is the first game he played in 38 days. I'm no doctor, but I'll say I'm going to assume that calf on Friday, it's going to be a little sore. You ever do calf raises? I do them a lot because my calves are super small. By the way, no progress. Anyway, like you do a big day of calf raises at the gym, the next day your calves are burning. I mean, running and playing in a high intensity environment for 20 minutes after not doing really anything. I know we practice, but it's still not the same intensity for 38 days. Your muscle is going to be sore as hell. Can he get back to 100% by game 2 on Sunday night? I'm not sold. So I don't think we're going to see the same explosive, dominant, rangy, athletic, high-flying Kristaps Porzingis in game 2 that we saw in game number 1. And the last thing here I'll say in terms of why I think the Mavs will win game 2 is this. Defensively, that is by far the biggest thing they have to focus on in between games. I think that they are going to do a lot better job of running the Celtics off the 3-point line. Like that has to, I don't know why Jason Kidd didn't make that more of a priority in game 1, but in game 2, you have no option now. You saw this is the team that takes the most threes, makes the most threes. They shot 42 threes in this game, made 38% of them. You are not winning a game in the playoffs. You're definitely not winning the finals, is maybe what I should say. If you're allowing the Celtics to shoot over 43s a game and connect on almost 40% of them, it's just a math game. You're not keeping up. They were outscored tonight, Dallas was, by 30 points from the 3-point line. They didn't make a lot of them, but forget that for a second. You have to first and foremost, before you even make your threes, you got to get Boston to miss them. And so I think you're going to see a lot more concerted effort to run the Celtics off the 3-point line. Bare minimum, contest the damn threes. Again, over half their threes were uncontested in game number 1, and make it tougher for Boston. I think they will do that. Make it a 2-point game, 2-point shooting game. Make the Celtics beat you inside the arc. They have shown that they can do it, but it's a lot harder for them to do if the 3 ball's not falling at the 40% clip that they're used to. I do think we're going to see a better defensive effort from Dallas in game number 2. So you add it all up, it was ugly. Kristaps Porzingis was unstoppable. If he continues that torrid pace, which I got questions about, but if he does, proves me wrong, clean sweep, fire up the duck boats, Celtics are winning the finals in 4. But I think we're in for a series here. I said Mavs in 6 going into the series. I'm not wavering after game number 1 because I do think we're going to see a lot of adjustments from game 1 and game 2 here. But props to Boston so far. They got easy shots. They made the easy shots. They did what they had to do right now to take game 1 and take this 1-0 series lead. I'm curious your thoughts here. If you're watching on YouTube, comment in the comment section. Is this series over? With Boston winning game 1 in blowout dominant fashion, are the Mavs cooked? Let me know your thoughts if you're watching, or I should say listening, on our podcast page, which if you don't know about it, it's Hick at Night, Night spelled N-I-T. Appreciate you listening there. But if you want to get your voice heard, two easy ways to do so. Tweet me, Ryan_Hickey and the number 3, or go to YouTube. Page is Ryan Hickey. Hello, right there. The smiling face is the profile picture, so you'll definitely know you're in the right spot there. Click on the video and drop a comment as well. Is the series after one game already over, or do you see a path for the Mavs still win the finals? Can't wait to hear your thoughts.